Tashidelek, you are watching Tibet This Week with me, Pandit Chudun, where we bring you weekly news edition on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's have a look at today's headlines. Sikyong Penpa Tsering attends screening of Wisdom of Happiness at Zurich Film Festival. New Election Commissioner and Public Service Commission member sworn in. Tibetan leaders meet U.S. Embassy delegation. Jawalakhel Samdupling Tibetan settlement marks His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday with aid for Nepal flood victims. DIIR concludes 2 weeks of Tibet Awareness talk series and Tibet Museum travelling exhibition in Varanasi and Gujarat. On Monday this week, Sikyong Penpa Tsering arrived in Zurich, Switzerland, where he was warmly welcomed by Representative Tilechiki and the Office of Tibet staff, monks and Tibetan community leaders at the airport. Following that, Sikyong met with Richard Gere and ICT President Tenchoy Gyatso at the DIIR grant, joined by other Tibetan officials. Sikyong Penpa Tsering attended a pre-release event for Wisdom of Happiness, a documentary about the 14th Dalai Lama set to premiere at the Zurich Film Festival on Tuesday this week. Notable attendees included Richard Gere, Oren Moverman, co-directors Barbara Miller and Philip Delegation, and Penpa, the Dalai Lama's sister. Earlier that day, Sikyong held an interactive session with representatives from Tibetan support groups and Swiss NGOs regarding His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 90th birth anniversary at DIIR grant. Sikyong Penpa Tsering also attended the screening of Wisdom of Happiness, a documentary on the life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama at the Zurich Film Festival.
Brothers and sisters of this small planet, when your mind is a little bit disturbed, take deep breathing. Not talking about God, not talking about next life. This very life, just one life. Billion human beings. Everybody, including our enemy, wants peace. But peace not come from sky. Our 21st century will not be easy century. A lot of difficulties come. Destructive actions come from destructive emotions. So now our world needs knowledge about our mind, about our emotions, and how to tackle these emotions. The very purpose of our life is happiness, joyfulness. If you have inner peace, then you achieve a happy life.
On the morning of Wednesday this week, Sikyong flew to Amsterdam, where he has to attend other important engagements and meetings with the Tibet support groups. On Monday this week, Speaker Khenpo Sonam Temple administered the oath of office to Lobsang Yeshe, former parliamentarian, as Commissioner of Tibetan Election Commission, and Tsuldim Dorji, Director of Tibetan Children Village, as a member of the Public Service Commission. They were elected with a 2/3 majority during the 8th session of the 17th Tibetan Parliament in exile. Lobsang Yeshe received 29 votes against Lalung Gyal's 12, while Tsuldim Dorji secured 24 votes, defeating Thupten Yarpel, who garnered 18. The ceremony held in the Parliament Hall included traditional offerings, and it concluded with congratulations from the Speaker and the other officials. On Tuesday this week, Kaloi Nozudoma of the Department of Information and International Relations engaged in a productive dialogue with a U.S. Embassy delegation at Tsering Hall. Kalun expressed deep gratitude for the U.S. government's ongoing support of the Tibetan freedom struggle. The delegation included Consul Jeff Miles, First Secretary James Palsman, Political Officer Mike Karmer, and Political Specialist Ajay Dayal. Kalun Nozuduma was accompanied by Secretary Kama Chuying, Additional Secretaries Tenzi Lekshe and Namgyet Sewang, and Secretary Thundup Gyalpo. On the following day, in a separate meeting, Deputy Speaker Domatsrin Tekang welcomed U.S. Embassy staff and they were given a guided tour of the Tibetan Parliament. The Deputy Speaker spoke on the evolution of Tibetan democracy and key milestone in its history. She reiterated the importance of U.S. support for Tibet, criticizing China's One China policy and its impact on Tibetan identity and resources. Furthermore, she emphasized on the global significance of the Tibetan Plateau and the implications of Chinese policies on South Asian countries. In honor of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 90th birth anniversary, the Jawalakhel Samdupling Tibetan settlement in Kathmandu provided food, water, and clothing to about 600 flood victims in Nepal. This effort responds to recent floods and landslides that have resulted in 239 deaths and 177 injuries. The relief was distributed on an auspicious Wednesday this week, coinciding with the new moon, with the merits dedicated to the health of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This initiative is part of the series of planned charitable activities throughout the year, following guidance from the Gande Photang and the Department of Home, Central Tibetan Administration. The Department of Information and International Relations recently concluded a 2-week Tibet Awareness Talk series and Tibet Museum exhibition at universities in Varanasi and Gujarat, engaging 1,348 participants across 13 institutions. The program focused on Tibet's historical ties with India and current situation under Chinese rule. Speakers Tenzin Gyalpo and Rinchen discussed Tibet's human rights challenges, urging students to address these issues in their academic work and publish articles to raise awareness. The series started in Varanasi with events with the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, Malviya Shiksha Niketan and Banaras Hindu University. In Gujarat, the Bharat Tibetan Sangh facilitated outreach in Rajkot, Junagadh and Vadodara. Key institutions included Maharaja Sarajirao University, Parol University, SMT Kansagara College, VBP Engineering College and Saurashtra University. The campaign received extensive media coverage and reports from prominent Gujarati newspapers like Akila News and Gujarat Samachar, amplifying the message beyond the universities. The talks sparked lively discussions, with students expressing deep interest in Tibet's culture and current situation, demonstrating the success of the campaign in fostering awareness and solidarity. The Tibet Museum of the Central Tibetan Administration concluded a 2-week traveling exhibition titled India and Tibet, Ancient Ties and Current Bonds at universities in Varanasi and Gujarat. The exhibition, featuring pictographic panels, aimed to raise awareness about the historical and current relations between India and Tibet. The exhibition began at the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies in Varanasi, followed by Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith, and later moved to the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda and Parul University in Gujarat. The event attracted faculty, students and Tibetan youth groups, fostering discussions on Tibet's cultural heritage and its ties with India. Visitors provided positive feedback, appreciating the museum's effort to highlight India-Tibet relations. That is all the news for this week's edition of Tibet This Week. Thank you so much for watching.